So Donald Trump made absolutely no secret of the fact that he disdained any U.S. manufacturer, whether it was autos or Carrier air conditioning, that moved jobs overseas. Today, he delivered on his campaign promise to keep Carrier Air Conditioning Company from moving those jobs to Mexico, at least most of them. You still have unfilled manufacturing jobs here in the U.S. Why? Because the millennial workforce, in part, doesn't want to take them. They don't find them sexy. So companies like GE have begun to rebrand to attract the millennial workforce. You've seen these commercials that GE has put forth with younger actors, sort of pitching manufacturing as a high-tech, code-based industry packed full of potential and cool. Will it work? We're bringing in the eyes and ears of millennials and the CEOs who are trying to attract them. Caroline Ghosn, founder and CEO of Levo. Caroline, great to have you here. You don't often hear blue-collar and millennial in the same sentence. Why not?
This is the least represented group of a group that's already underrepresented in the conversation around the workforce. So millennials are the largest cohort to ever enter the workforce. We'll be 75% of the global workforce by 2020. And the conversation that we're having nationally doesn't really match those numbers. And then within that, all of the conversation tends to focus on tech, on new digital businesses, on Silicon Valley. And what happens is these blue-collar millennials and the manufacturing jobs that millennials are going to need to take fall to the bottom of the list.
I don't know, but it almost seems to me, and maybe I'm just a little biased because you hear Stuart Varney always ripping millennials, but millennials almost seem like they would rather take code writing jobs, sleep on a futon at a startup in Austin or Silicon Valley, and maybe take stock options and no pay, than taking a manufacturing job where you get your hands a little dirty, but you get health care benefits, you get sometimes $17 to $35 an hour. You've got to have some skills that you're taught often where these companies will do that. But how do you make manufacturing sexy to millennials?
This is all about employment branding. So if you look at the numbers, the average manufacturing job earns you $79,000 a year. And if you look at that compared to the average across industries, that's $79,000 as compared to $64,000. So there is significant capital there, and it's attractive in and of itself. And then if you look at the application of technology to manufacturing jobs, that's there too. And you're seeing companies like GE begin to position the attractiveness of these types of jobs through virtual reality, through discussing coding, through really advancing robotics, and that's where employers need to be moving.
Yeah, and through that millennial-looking kid who's telling his parents, I'm taking a job where I'll be writing the code that makes the stuff that uses hammers, and then his friends follow and are dropping resumes in front of him. But you look at millennial job preferences, as you said, technology at the top. All of these might have some positions open, and yet there is a belief, because it's December 1st, everybody, that nobody hires in December. It's the holidays. They're more interested in parties and things like that. Fourth quarter, one of the worst times to land a job, or can you dispel that myth?
So it will be very interesting, first of all, to see what happens tomorrow, to see what happens over the course of the next month. But I would absolutely dispel that myth. What we see happen is a lot of inner turmoil and contemplation of where I want to be in my career that happens before the holidays. And there's a lot of mobility in December and then again in January.
Look, just by the way, when it comes to manufacturing, total job openings over the next decade or two, there will be 2 million jobs in manufacturing unfilled because of a skills gap. But millennials are fast learners, are they not? They need to go to manufacturing. Let me just quickly get you and your thoughts on what happens tomorrow. We have the November jobs report out of the Labor Department. Do you expect to see a bigger than expected build? And how does that break down in what you look at?
So we are expecting to see nearly double the amount of jobs added that we expected for November. So I'm really hopeful that that is what we have in store for tomorrow morning.
Well, what would be driving that?
Well, it will continue to be a rise in jobs in technology and a lot of the trends that we've seen come throughout the year. And what I love about it is that it really positions us for a strong 2017 and some of these optimistic currents around the future of the workforce and the future of millennials.
Gosh, I hope you're right about tomorrow.
I hope so too.
And you know how our viewers can find out? Watch Maria Bartiromo tomorrow and her show, because 8:30 a.m. Eastern is when the November jobs report comes out. Great to see you, Caroline.
Thank you for having me.
Caroline Ghosn of Levo.